Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
ਹਰ ਤੇਜੜੀ ਲਾਵ ਮਨ ਚਾਉ ਭਇਆ ਬੈਰਾਗੀਆ ਬਲਰਾਮ ਜੀਓ। ਸੰਤ ਜਨਾ ਹਰ ਮੇਲ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਵਡ ਭਾਗੀਆ ਬਲਰਾਮ ਜੀਓ। ਨਿਰਮਲ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਇਆ ਮੁਖ ਬੋਲੀ ਹਰ ਬਾਣੀ ਸੰਤ ਜਨਾ ਵਡ ਭਾਗੀ ਪਾਇਆ ਹਰ ਕਥੀਏ ਅਕਥ ਕਹਾਣੀ। ਹਿਰਦੇ ਹਰ 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 ਧੁਨ ਉਪਜੀ ਹਰ ਜਪੀਏ ਮਸਤਕ ਭਾਗ ਜੀਓ। ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਲੇ ਤੀਜੀ ਲਾਵੈ ਹਰ ਉਪਜੇ ਮਨ ਬੈਰਾਗ ਜੀਓ। ਹਿਰਦੇ ਹਰ 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 ਧੁਨ ਉਪਜੀ ਹਰ ਜਪੀਏ ਮਸਤਕ ਭਾਗ ਜੀਓ। ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਲੇ ਤੀਜੀ ਲਾਵੈ ਹਰ ਉਪਜੇ ਮਨ ਬੈਰਾਗ ਜੀਓ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਰਾਮਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ in Suhi Rag. In the third Laav, Sadguru ji Paatshah ji saying, Har tejadi Laav Man chao phaya Bairagiya Balaram jiyo. Paatshah ji saying now this third avastha, this third state of mind, now what are we starting to experience when we've gone through the first two lava, the first three stages of getting closer to Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Now it's that stage of Man Chao Phaya Bairagiya. One way of looking at this is to say there's two emotions here in one. So on one side there is Chao. Patsha is saying there's that Cha, there's that sense of excitement for a new beginning, for a new life. Because now if we look at the bride, she's actually leaving her parents, but she's got something to look forward to because she's starting a new life with a new family, with her husband, so that they can grow together closer to Vaheguru Ji Akal Purkh. So in that sense, Paatshah Ji is saying that Man Chao, inside that person's mind, when we're going through that stage, there's that Cha, there's that excitement for this new life. And then Paatshah Ji is saying, but in the same breath, Sadhguru Ji Paatshah is saying that Phaya Bairagiya. And the word Bairag, first before we look at the word Bairagiya, the difference between when Paatshah Ji is saying the word Bairag to Bairagiya. Bairagiya just meaning that Paatshah Ji is referring to somebody that is in Bairag. And then Bairag is the actual emotion. So if we look at the word Bairag and how does it differ to the word Chao? Paatshah is saying that Bairag comes from the word Rag. And if we look at the literal translation of Rag, Rag actually means love. So now Paatshah is saying that in this third law that somebody is experiencing going through Bairag. So what does that mean? Now Bay, we know that it negates the word. So does it mean that, how does it negate the word in this context? That Paatshah Ji is saying Bairagiya meaning that person starts to become detached from worldly things. So Rag meaning love. Now if you look at this, what is Paatshah saying? That state of mind is like this, that they don't have that love and attachment for worldly things anymore. That's not where their love is. So Pachaji is saying that Sachi Preet Ham Tumsyo Jodi, Tumsyo Jod, Avar Sang Tori. So Pachaji is saying Sachi Preet, that this true love now. Sachi Preet Ham Tumsyo Jodi. Oh Vaheguru Ji, that I've connected this true love now I have for you, Vaheguru Ji. Sachi Preet Ham Tumsyo Jodi, Tumsyo Jod, as I have connected. As now I have fallen in love with the truth. Tumsyo Jodi, Avar Sang, Tumsyo Jod, Avar Sang Tori. But now automatically, that moment we start to connect, we start to fall in love with the truth, we don't even realize in the same time that we start to let go of falsehood. We start to let go of things of this world that our minds were attached to. Sadhguru Ji Pachi is saying that anek bhant maya ke het sar par hovat jaan anet. Pachi saying anek bhant maya ke het. Het again means attachment. Anek means many. Pachi is saying, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi's Bani in Sukhmani Sahib is saying anek bhant. Bhant means ways. Kande anek bhant maya ke het. There's many ways that maya, that falsehood, that illusion, what it does and how it plays us. It's got many ways of making us become attached. Anek bhant maya ke het. There's not only one form that maya comes in. It's not that somebody can say, well, be careful of maya because this is what maya is. This is the one form of maya. And this is what it's going to do to you. And be careful that you don't end up getting attached to falsehood. But Pachi is saying anek bhant. It comes in many forms. We don't know what form it's going to come and take over us. Anek bhant maya ke het sar par hovat jaan anet. But Pachi is saying sar par hovat. Sar par means to be sure. Pachi is saying be sure sar par hovat jaan anet. That it's not net, it's not going to remain forever. These worldly things that we end up getting attached to. Can they be sure that they will leave one day? Sar par hovat jaan anet. Unhone jana hega jarur. Oh net negiyan, oh rehn waliyan cheezaं negiyan. So Pachi is saying that be careful. Just like then they give three examples to us. They're saying brick ki shaya syo rang lave oh binse oh man pashtave. Saying brick ki shaya. Brick means a tree. Pachi saying brick ki shaya. Shaya means the shadow. The shadow that comes from the tree being present there. Can they brick ki shaya syo rang lave? If you fall in love with the shadow, Pachi is saying, what can happen to you? Oh binse. They said that shadow is going to leave. That shadow is only there until the sun is out. The moment the sun goes, that moment Gursikh Pyaro, oh binse, that shadow goes as well. Oh binse, oh man pashtave. And then what happens? This mind, it starts to regret that why did I fall in love with that shadow? If I knew it was going to leave, then I wouldn't have attached myself to it so much. And this is what it means. Pachaji is saying that man chau peya bairagiya. But those that become bairagi, those that become detached from the things of this world, they don't experience these things. But on the other side, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachaji is giving us these examples and saying what ends up happening to people. Can they jo dise so chalan har? Pachaji is saying, can they wake up? Can they, whatever you are looking at, jo dise so chalan har lapte rahe hote and andar. They said, why are you entangling yourself around something that isn't even going to remain? Jo dise so chalan har lapte rahe hote and andar. Pachaji is saying that's living. That's being blind, Pachaji is saying. The fe Pachaji kende batao syo jo lave ne ta ko haath na aave ke. Batao syo jo lave ne. Batao means a traveler. Pachaji is saying it's just like falling in love with a traveler. Falling in love with this world that isn't permanent. Kende batao syo jo lave ne. Kende if you fall in love with a traveler, somebody's come visiting your house one day. They're there for the night. And then you give your complete heart to them, but they have to leave in the morning. Kende batao syo ne jo. Kende batao syo jo lave ne. Kende tako haath na aave ke. Kende nothing's going to remain in your hand if you fall in love with a traveler. If you look now, if somebody's sitting on a train and traveling to get to their destination, somebody comes and sits in that same cabin, and you go and give your complete heart to them, and you say, I never want you to leave, but their stop comes and they leave. Pachaji is saying, Man harke naam ki preet sukhadai. Kende man, oh my mind, man harke naam ki preet. But the love for Vaheguru ji. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਨ ਹਰ ਕੇ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸੁਖਦਾਈ, in that there is peace. ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਨੰਦ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੁੱਖ ਸਭ ਭਾਲਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੇਵਲ ਉਸ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਤੀ ਪਾਵਾਂਗੇ. When we fall in love with the truth that is always going to remain, that Pacha ji says that Nanak hosi pi sach, that is always going to remain. So this is what this avastha is about. That from one side Pacha ji saying, now there's two emotions, there's that cha, now we're going to go and connect to the truth, sachi pritam tumse ho jodi, tumse ho jod, avar sang tori. But now there's Bairaag as well. There's Bairaag where the bride, where the daughter is leaving her father. But remember, just like we said, the word Laav means to leave one place, to take that plant away from one place and then you plant it somewhere else. The Gursikh Pyaro, eme hi. Now what's starting to happen when we go through these stages of living in fear, starting to feel the presence of Vaheguru ji, and now what starts to happen, Gursikh Pyaro, we start to have cha, to be with Akal Purkh, to be with the truth, and we become Bairagi, we become detached from things that are false. From Maya we start to become detached. But the other way of looking at this, the other way to look at this is Har Tijri Laav Man Chau Paya. Now we put these two words together, Chau and Chau Paya Bairagiya. Maaf karna. So now we're putting Chau and Bairagiya together. Chau now we're looking at as that yearning inside. That yearning to be one with Vaheguru ji. Bairagiya, we're looking at that person now that is in pain. That is realized that okay, I can feel the presence of Vaheguru ji, but I've not merged into Vaheguru ji. Bairagya is that person that lives in that pain, in that constant pain inside, that wants to be one with Vaheguru ji. Just like Pacha ji said, Har prem bani man marya aniyale aniya ram raje jis lagi peer param ki so jane jariya. Pacha ji described love to be like a pain. Jis lagi peer param ki. Those that experience that peer, that sense of pain, of love, peer paramki. Just like Guru Nanak Dev Ji explained as well in their childhood. Just like when that doctor came to check Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji. Because Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sache Pacha Ji spent many days of not speaking, of not talking to anybody, of not eating. And when their mother brought a doctor over and that doctor took the arm of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji later on spoke about that time in their Bani, and this says Vaid Balaya Vaid ki Pakad Tandole Ba. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji says a doctor came, took hold of my arm and started to look for something inside of my arm, meaning they're looking for my pulse. Kende Vaid Balaya Vaid ki Pakad Tandole Ba. Kende Pola Vaid na jane. Kende Pola Vaid na jane Kark Kaleje Mahe. This is the Kark, that same thing, pain. That's what a Bairagiya is. Somebody that is living in Bairaag is somebody that is living in that pain, who has realized that I'm separated from Vaheguru ji, but now has got this immense pain to want to merge into Vaheguru ji. So what is this? Bairaag is actually when you're in absolute love with God. The Pacha ji kende kark kaleje mahe, kende jis lagi peer paramki so jane jariya. Only those know what they have to go through when they're experiencing that pain of love, of wanting to be one with Vaheguru ji and just merging back in now. Just like Guru Arjan Dev Ji Patsha Ji. When Guru Arjan Dev Ji Patsha Ji was separated from Guru Ramdas Ji Patsha Ji, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Patsha Ji is now bringing to your minds. Guru Ramdas Ji Patsha Ji has said to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Patsha Ji, go to Lahore. From leaving Amritsar, go to Lahore, and you're only to come back when I call for you. Approximately 8 months have passed. What state is Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji in? Because remember, they've been struck by that arrow as well. Har prem bani man marya. The bani, those beautiful words that would come out of Guru Ramdas Ji Pacha Ji's mukh, their beautiful mouth. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji had been struck by those words. Har prem bani man marya. Aniyale aniya ram raje. Those sharp arrows that had struck inside. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji's lagi peer, that pain that they're living in when they're in Lahore, because 8 months have passed and Guru Ramdas Ji Pacha Ji hasn't called for them. What they are experiencing, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji, they write about that time themselves in Gurbani. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji said, this is how I feel this moment. They said, I feel just like a bride. They said, imagine a bride is sitting at her home and her husband goes away. He goes to a different country to work, and that bride knows my husband is meant to be coming back very soon. And that bride sitting at home, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji describes that bride, what she's going through, but in actual fact they're describing what they are going through, and they're saying, Deh des shatar meg kata kat daman chamk darayo. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji कहते Deh des shatar meg kata kat deh des. Deh des means Guru Sikh Pyareo, disha meaning directions. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji says in the 10 directions, कहते Deh des shatar, there's a canopy. What is that canopy made up of? कहते Deh des shatar meg kata kat, कहते that canopy is made up of many clouds. Kata kat, they said there's clouds through and throughout. कहते Deh des shatar meg kata kat daman chamk darayo. And then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji saying, they said there's lightning, there's thundering. They're describing the atmosphere. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji sketching this scene for us of how they feel, but through a bride's eyes. Kende deh des shatar dam, kende deh des shatar meg kata kat daman chamk darayo. Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji saying, kende sej akeli neend no nain hai. Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji says, kende sej akeli. How does she feel? She's frightened because it's thundering out there. She's frightened because there's clouds, it's raining. But normally when you're frightened, that bride will go, she'll go to her bed and she'll be comforted by her husband. But now Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji is saying she's actually alone in her bed. Kende sej akeli, sej means bed, sej akeli, she lies on her own in her bed. Kende sej akeli neend no nain hai. But when her husband would be beside her, she'd have no worry and she'd fall asleep. But now today, how does she feel? Nain no nain hai. She said neend no nain hai. She has no sleep in her eyes. She cannot fall asleep today. Why? Because she's alone. Sej akeli neend no nain hai. Per pardes sadayo. And she's saying, Guru Arjan Dev Ji saying, why? Because her husband has gone to Pardes. He's gone out of the country. Kende per her husband, per pardes sadayo, hun, and then what is she waiting for? She's thinking, I should have had a sandesh by now. I should have had a message by now. Somebody should have come to tell me when my husband is going to return. And she says, then kende hun, nahi sandesro mayo. Guru Arjan Dev Ji explains her state, and her state is hun, now nahi, there is none. There is no messenger. Hun nahi sandesro mayo, oh my mother. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji is feeling this, and they are saying, oh Bibi Pani Ji, oh my mother, why is there no messenger still come yet? Kende before kende ek kosro sid kart lal. Kende what would happen before? Kende ek kosro, 1 mile my husband would go. He would only go 1 mile away. And then what would happen? Ek kosro sid kart lal. My beloved lal, my beloved husband would only go 1 mile, but even then tab chatar patro ayo. But even then within that 1 mile distance, I would receive 4 letters. I'd hear from him constantly. Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji describes and saying, how can I forget that Vaheguru Ji that is full of all those gun? Kende how? How am I supposed to forget that Vaheguru Ji, that Laav, that beloved, that is full of all those gun? The kende ek kosro sid kart lal. Tab chatar patro ayo, kyo bisro eho lal pyaro, kyo bisro how? Kyo bisro eho lal pyaro, sarb guna sukhdayo. He has all the virtues my husband has. Sarb guna sukhdayo, he gives me peace. Kyo bisre. I can't just sit here and say, well, he hasn't come and he hasn't asked about me. that doesn't mean I just forget him. And Gursikh Pyaro, many times, sometimes that happens with us. We feel that we don't feel that connection. We feel that God doesn't care for us because maybe something's happened in our life. We haven't had any signs from God of that connection. And then we take a step back. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji saying, even though Guru Ramdas Ji Pacha Ji hasn't wrote to me yet, kyo bisre, but how can I forget him? Kyo bisre, ihu lal pyaro, that beloved, ihu lal pyaro, sarb guna, he's got all the virtues, everything I've got from him. Sarb guna sukhdayo, he's given me this peace that I have inside of me. How can I forget him? But then the wife, her pain grows more. Her yearning grows more. If anybody is sitting here, has probably experienced this, whoever's sitting here. They're at home. They're expecting somebody to come. And it's getting later and later. And they're thinking they should have been here by now. Even though this doesn't help, this doesn't make them come back any quicker. But what do? Go to the door. And they start looking through the window. Or they open the door and they stand at the doorway looking that direction. To see, they look down that road, look down that pathway to see, can they see their beloved coming? Even though that's not going to make them come any quicker. But it just feels like they need to do something a bit more now. Now Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji says, what does that wife do? What does that bride do? What does that Sohagana do? Mandar chadke panth niharo. She gets up on top of the mandir. Mandir meaning the house. Mandir meaning the mansion. So now she climbs the stairs. She goes and stands at the top of the Veda. It's open roof. You can see down the village. You can see down all the paths. Mandar chadke panth niharo. Niharo means to look. She looks down the path. She's standing at top of the mandir. Mandar chadke panth niharo. Nan neer par aayo. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji says that bride sees nobody coming. So what happens to that bride? Nan neer par aayo. Her eyes start to fill with tears. Why? Because nobody's there. Nan neer par aayo. But now Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji did tell us, what is this really happening? What is this all about? Now Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji, in the next two pangtiyan, they go inside. They said that's a description of how somebody is feeling when they're not having the darshan of Vaheguru Ji inside of themselves. And what is it? What's stopping them? Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji says, ho peet peo hai bicho. There's a wall between me and you. That's why I can't see you. Kande ho peet, ho means between me and you. Ho means I, sorry. Pacha Guru Arjan Dev Ji kande ho peet. There's a wall that is made up of ho, of I, of my ego. Kande ho peet peo hai bicho. Bicho means, and that's what's in between us. Kande sunat des nikatayo. But these words, these three words, when I read them, I was trying to imagine Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji, from where are they speaking from? They're saying, yes, I admit there's a wall between us. Kande ho peet peo ho bicho, but kande sonat, but I can hear you though. That means I know you are close. Sunat des, your country, that world that you belong in, Vaheguru Ji. Kende sunat des nikatayo. Nikatayo means I know it's close now. Even though I know that this wall of ego is dividing us, but I'm not that far from you. I've come a long way. Remember, I've lived in Taram. I've joped Naam as well. When I was jopping Naam, then I was calling out for you. I was crying for you. And as I jopped Naam, I could feel your presence as well. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji saying, all that's happening is now I can hear you as well. You're that close, but I just can't see you. Guru Arjan Dev Ji kande sunat. I can hear you. Des nikatayo. Your world is so close to me. How thick is this wall then? Guru Arjan Dev Ji said. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਬੀਰੀ ਕੇ ਪਾਤ ਪੜ ਦੋ. Guru Arjan Dev Ji said this is how thick this wall is. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਬੀਰੀ ਕੇ ਪਾਤ ਪੜ ਦੋ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ the wall is like this. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ it's just as thick as pambiri, a butterfly's wings. That's all that's left between us now. That's how thin this wall is actually. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਬੀਰੀ ਕੇ ਪਾਤ ਪੜ ਦੋ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਿਨ ਪੇਖੇ without seeing you ਦੂਰ ਆਇਓ. At the same time I can hear you, I know you're close, but for me if you ask my eyes, because my eyes can't see you, then you might as well be far to me. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਿਨ ਪੇਖੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਿਨ ਪੇਖੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੇਖਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਗੈਰ. ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੁਨਤ ਦੇਸ ਨਿਕਟਾਇਓ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I know your world is close. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but at the same time ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਿਨ ਪੇਖੇ ਦੂਰ ਆਇਓ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but if I can't see you then you might as well be far. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੂੰ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਦੂਰ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ is in this state. They've got this pain, this yearning now. This is what this Laav is all about now. When somebody starts to live in that pain and yearn for Akal Purkh Ji, Vaheguru Ji, wanting to have that experiencing and being that in that oneness, then what does Guru Arjan Dev Ji do? Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji describe again in their own Bani. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji said, then I start to cry out. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji said, I said, sun yaar hamare sajjan ek karo benantiya tis mohan laal pyare ho firo khojantiya tis das pyare sir dhari utare ek bhori darshan dije. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji said, when I couldn't bear it any longer, then I started calling out. And I started to say, sun yaar hamare sajjan, oh my friend, oh my sat sangi roop friends, oh my friends that have seen Vaheguru Ji, now I cry out to you. Kende sun yaar, oh my true friends, sun yaar hamare sajjan, my companions that have actually experienced Vaheguru Ji, that has actually seen Vaheguru Ji. Sun yaar hamare sajjan ek karo benantiya, I put this one request forward to you. Tis mohan laal pyare, this mohan, you know this mohan, this enticing Vaheguru Ji, laal pyare, that beloved Vaheguru Ji that has made me feel like this, that is putting me through all of this pain. This mohan laal pyare, ho firo kho jantiyan, I'm searching for him everywhere. Ho me firo kho jantiyan, I'm wandering around kho jantiya searching for him. This mohan laal pyare, ho firo kho jantiyan, tis das pyare. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah, tis das pyare. Just like when somebody is looking for a bride and they will go and what will they say? Kende koi dasita pao? Can they tell us about somebody? And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah, can they tell us? Can they tell me? Tis das pyare. Tell me about my beloved or my satsang group friends. Can they tis das pyare? Guru Arjan Dev Ji said, don't worry. I'm not telling you to tell me for free. I'm willing to give you something. Can if I just can have that little, even that little moment's worth of darshan, if I can see Vaheguru Ji, what am I willing to do, give to you? Kende tis das pyare sir dhari utare, kende main mera sir hi la ke tanu de dunga. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah saying, I'm not asking for you to tell me for free. Kende I'll actually take my head off and I'll put my head in your feet. Kende main mera sir hi utar ke tanu de dunga. Kende ek bhori darshan dije, kende ek bhore samay vaste, kende just for a little moment if I can just see Vaheguru Ji. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਭੋਰੀ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਜੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੈਣ ਹਮਾਰੇ ਪ੍ਰਿਆ ਰੰਗ ਰੰਗਾਰੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਈ ਆਈਜ਼, ਨੈਣ ਹਮਾਰੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਹਾਲ ਪੁੱਛ ਕੇ ਵੇਖੋ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਐਸ ਦ ਸਟੇਟ ਆਫ ਮਾਈ ਆਈਜ਼ ਨਾਓ ਆਫ ਵਾਂਟਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਸੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੈਣ ਹਮਾਰੇ ਪ੍ਰਿਆ ਰੰਗ ਰੰਗਾਰੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੇ drenched in the color of love for Vaheguru Ji. Now that's the state of my eyes. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ this is how I feel. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਤਿਲ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ just for this one moment, without seeing you now, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I have no patience inside me now. I just need to see you now. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ now I just can't wait any longer. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ now all I want is to be able to see you. What starts to happen? From inside, when Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is experiencing all of this, there's this benti that starts to come out. What do they start to say to Vaheguru Ji from inside now? Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji's inside is singing and saying, Mohan kar avho. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is saying, Mohan, oh my enticing Vaheguru Ji, Mohan kar avo. Come to my house now. Come to the house of my heart now, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah is saying, Mohan kar avo, karo jo dariya. Jo dariya means Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji is doing a benti. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji is now requesting to Vaheguru Ji to come and sit in the house of their heart now. Kande Mohan kar avo, karo jo dariya. But how does this work? How will it actually happen that Akal Purkh will actually come and sit there? There's a husband and wife. They're both yearning for a child. And they go. And they go and sit by the flowing river of Ganges. And they sit by the name of a Pandit. They sit by a Pandit by the name of Pandit Shivdat. This couple, they say to Pandit Shivdat, they said, bless us with the gift of a son. Pandit Shivdat turns around and says, O Raja, O King, O Raja Fateh Chand Mani, O Rani Mani, you ask me for a son. Believe me, I have no power to bless you with a son. But that who is the giver of gifts himself, he's wandering the streets of Patna himself. Who blesses me with the powers to give the gift to others, he himself is wandering these streets. Go to him. His name is Gobind Rai. Go to him and ask him for the gift of a child, of a son. They said, tell us about his whereabouts. Tell us where we can find him. Pandit Shivdat said, I want you to do something a little different this time. I don't want you to go to him direct. I want you to go back home, sit in your palace. And when you sit in your palace, I want you to call out to him. And he will come to you to give you that gift. Raja Fateh Chand Mani, Rani Mani, they both go back to their palace. As they go back to their palace, they go and sit down. And she remembers the words of Pandit Shivdat. She sits there and she said that Pandit Shivdat told me, if I call out for you, O Gobind Rai, he said you would come. You would come and you would bless me yourself with the gift of a child, with the gift of a son. So she sits there and she calls out to Gobind Rai. As she's calling out, many days have passed. Her husband turns around and says, how can it be that we're calling out for him? Pandit Shivdat, whatever he says to people comes true. Why hasn't Gobind Rai come? Are we doing something wrong? She said, we're doing exactly how he said. He said, go back home, sit down and call out to Gobind Rai and Gobind Rai will come. Raja Fateh Chand Mani said, do you think he's not coming because of that desire we have? Because we want him only so he can fulfill our desire? Do you think that could be the reason for him not coming? And she said, let's call him. Let's remove that desire of asking him for a child. Let's remove that desire of asking him for a son. Let us just call Gobind Rai alone. She sits. But now when she sits in a completely different color. Now she sits as a true Bairagi. Now inside, she's going through this Man chau paya Bairagiya. She's got this yearning. She's become a Bairagi. She's fallen in love with the truth now. As she sits now, she's got her eyes closed and her inside is singing and saying, Mohan, kar aavo. Karo jo dariya. She said, my request is for you to come to this house. As she's saying these words, her inside is saying, Aavo sajjana, ho dekhan darshan tera Ram. Her inside is saying, Ho aavo sajjana. Her inside is saying, oh come to my house, my sajjan, my true companion, my true friend. Ho dekhan darshan tera Ram, so that I can have your darshan, so that I can see you. As she's singing these words, now there's a change. She has no desire for a child anymore. That desire for that child that she was going to ask for from Gobind Rai, that leaves her from inside. But now it's just this yearning to have Gobind Rai come to her house. Just like Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi says, Kahu phal ki ichha nahi banche, keval bhagat kirtan sang rache. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi says, Kahu phal ki ichha nahi banche. They said, don't have any desire for any fruits. Keval bhagat, just only have that devotion inside of you. Keval bhagat kirtan sang rache. Be engrossed, be drenched in that Vaheguru Ji's praise, only alone, without any other fruits, wanting any other fruits in return. What happens when we do that? Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi said, they said, if you do it like that, they said, ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਤ ਹੋਏ ਨਹਿ ਕਾਮੀ ਤਿਸ ਕੋ ਹੋਤ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਸੁਆਮੀ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ if you call out and you serve Vaheguru Ji in that way, ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਤ ਹੋਏ ਨਹਿ ਕਾਮੀ, with no desire, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤਿਸ ਕੋ ਹੋਤ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਸੁਆਮੀ. They said it's those that obtain Vaheguru Ji. Now she's sitting there and she's still crying out. She's singing, Aabo sajjana ho dekha darshan tera Ram. As she's singing these words, Gobind Rai is playing with his friends. Gobind Rai is playing with his friends, and his bull goes into the courtyard of this palace of Rani Mani. The bull goes into the palace court. Gobind Rai jumps the wall and comes into the palace. She's sitting there, she's been waiting for so long, her eyes are closed. Gobind Rai looks towards Rani Mani, and he comes and jumps and sits in the gourd and sits in the laps of Rani Mani. Gobind Rai is sitting in the laps, but she still has her eyes closed. Gobind Rai, in a beautiful, sweet voice, says, Ma, akkhan khol. He's saying, open your eyes, mother. She still hears nothing, because her inside is now connected. This innocent child calls out and says, Ma, akkhan khol, ma, main aa gaya. I have come, open your eyes. Rani Mani opens her eyes. She's had a desire for many years. That desire was, she wanted her ears to hear the words Ma, she wanted her ears to hear the words Mother. She sees in front of her Gobind Rai is sitting in her laps, and all she can hear, to her it sounds like the word Ma, the word Mother, is resounding all over. That's all she can hear. She steps back. She attempts to touch the feet of Gobind Rai. Gobind Rai moves out the way, takes the hand of Rani Mani and says, Ma, says, oh mother, the hand of a mother doesn't belong in the feet of her child. They belong upon his head. Gobind Rai took Rani Mani's hand and placed it above their own head. In this way, in that pain, when somebody calls out, when somebody does that jodhari, that benti, that request to Vaheguru Ji, that's what Bairaag is. When in that immense pain, when you call out to Vaheguru Ji without any other desire, ki eke dars toharu nanak un sang mohe udharo. When you have no other desire left, and then that Gobind Rai, then that Vaheguru Ji comes and sits. comes and sits in our hearts. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji experienced that when they were in Lahore. They described that, what they were going through. And then what happens when somebody calls out to Vaheguru Ji in that pain? Pacha Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੰਤ ਜਨਾ ਹਰ ਮੇਲ. Where do we obtain all of this? Constantly when you're feeling that pain, what do you want to be around? Sant jana har mel. You just want to be around the humble servants of Vaheguru Ji. Sant jana har mel. Your inside is always saying that let me be with those servants of God. When you're around those people that are like-minded, that feel the same pain, you feel a little ease when you're amongst them. When you can feel that they feel that too. And then Pacha Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੰਤ ਜਨਾ ਹਰ ਮੇਲ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਵਡ ਭਾਗੀਆ ਬਲਰਾਮ ਜੀਓ. Pacha Ji saying when you're amongst that sangat that is collectively feeling that they ease your pain, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਵਡ ਭਾਗੀਆ, and those that have great fortune, that they obtain Vaheguru Ji amongst those servants of Vaheguru Ji that are calling out to Vaheguru Ji. Remember ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦੇ ਸੀ. First, somebody was reciting God's name, but it wasn't with Bairaag. But now it changes from reciting God's name and then reciting God's name in Bairaag, and then when you're amongst the sants, and then that's when you get to experience Vaheguru Ji and get to have darshan of Vaheguru Ji. Fir ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਇਆ ਮੁਖ ਬੋਲੀ ਹਰ ਬਾਣੀ. Pacha described Vaheguru Ji to be nirmal. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਹਰ ਪਾਇਆ. Through that pain and calling Vaheguru Ji, you get to be with that Vaheguru Ji that is nirmal, that is completely immaculate and pure. But why has Vaheguru Ji used this word? Why have to use the word nirmal? Because Vaheguru Ji is saying if you want to be with nirmal Vaheguru Ji, that Vaheguru that is nirmal, that is pure, that means that's what we have to become. We have to become nirmal as well. Remember, but when somebody cries out in that pain, those tears will start to wash you inside. When somebody's in immense pain, those tears of pain of wanting to be one with Vaheguru Ji, that is what will actually wash us from inside. Pacha is saying nirmal har paya. And when we become nirmal, that's when we'll be able to be with that nirmal Vaheguru Ji as well, when we become immaculate and pure. Kende nirmal har paya har gun gaya. And still, even though now you're with Vaheguru Ji, but still what is happening, har gun gaya, but you're still singing the praises of Vaheguru Ji, but now it's different. How you were singing the praises to Vaheguru Ji before, in that pain, and now you're with Vaheguru Ji, now how you're singing to Vaheguru Ji is different now. Mukh boli har bani, everything you say now, mukh with your mukh. Boli har bani, you sing the words of Gurbani. You constantly, that's all you want to do. Because you can feel the truth with Guru Sahib Ji's Bani. You can feel that there is no falsehood in Guru Sahib Ji's Bani, and you constantly now, all you want to do is have Guru Sahib Ji's Bani upon your tongue now. You don't want to do anything else. Who else was experiencing this? That Bairaag, when we look towards Bhagat Farid Ji's Jeevan, Bhagat Farid Ji is lying there. They've put their body through immense penance. They've done so much penance. They've hanged in wells upside down. There is nothing left of their body. They're down to their bones because they've been meditating for so long. They've been hanging upside down in a well for so long. And Bhagat Farid Ji said, what was my state and what happened to me? Bhagat Farid Ji said, there's hardly anything left of my body. Kende Farida tan sukka pinjar thiya. Kende Farida tan sukka. Kende my tan, my body kende sukk gaya. Kende there was hardly anything left of my body. Kende Farida tan sukka pinjar thiya. Kende all that was left of my body was pinjar, was just these bones. Kende what was I going through? Kende taliyan khoond hai kaag. Kende taliyan, kende the bottom of my feet, taliyan khoond hai kaag. Kende as I had been hanging upside down for so long in this well, why was I putting myself through this? Because I just wanted to be with God. I was putting my body through so much penance. But what started to happen? These crows came over to my taliyan, to the bottom of my feet. They flew over across to the bottom of my feet. Taliyan, khund hai kaag, and these kaan. Bhakt Farid ji said, they started to pick at my feet. As they were doing this to me, look at my state. Aj hai so. Aj hai so Rab na bahudeo dekh bande ke bhaag. Even though I've put myself through all of this, I've put myself through so much my body I've put myself through. Bhakt Farid ji saying, but look at my fortune still. After all of that, ajay so Rab na bahudeo. But still God hasn't come to me. Still I've not got to experience and see God through all of this that I've put myself through, but still nothing. Ajay so Rab na bahudeo dekh bande ke bhaag. Look at my fortune. And they said, look what these crows are doing to my feet. They're just picking away at my feet now. And then Bhakt Farid ji says, Kaga karang tandoleya. Kaga, then these crows, what did they start to do? Kaga karang tandoleya. They started to pick even at my bones. This is Kaga karang tandoleya sagala khaya mas. It ate through my entire skin of my body. They said, I put myself through so much. I came out of that well as I was hanging in. I was lying on the floor, and as I was lying on the floor, there was nothing left of my body, and these crows, it started even eating through my complete and entire skin. Kende kaga karang tandoleya sagala khaya mas. But then Bhakt Farid ji did a benti. Then Bhakt Farid ji, in that same pain as Guru Arjan Dev ji, as we described, then Bhakt Farid ji sang, E doe naina mat shoh. Pir dekhan ki aas. E doy nana mat shoho. But don't touch these two eyes. They're talking to the crows now. They said, you may have picked at the skin of my body. You may have even been trying to now pick at my bones. But even though you've done all of that, I've said nothing to you through all of that. But now I do a benti, I put a request forward to you, O crows. But these two eyes, e do nana mat show, don't touch these eyes. Why? Pir dekhan ki aas. I still have hope. I still have desire inside of this body, inside of this mind. E do nana mat show, pir dekhan ki aas. Pir, my husband, Lord, I still have this hope that I'm going to be able to see my Vaheguru ji with these two eyes. So don't pick at these. Bhakt Farid ji's Bani, in that same Bairaag that Guru Arjan Dev ji Pacha ji spoke in as well. So this shows that Bhakt Farid ji is now, they want that Sargun Swarup Darshan of Vaheguru ji as well, want to see actually Vaheguru ji in a physical form. But this Bani is going even deeper in what it actually means. Bhakt Farid ji, what are they actually saying? They say, Kaga karang tandoleya. They said, who are the crows? They said, the crow is death. They said that death is coming closer to me. I can see this black death because the crow is black. They said, I can see death approaching me. It's getting closer and closer, but still. Bird peo suje nahi kaal pahuchyo aan. Bird peo suje nahi kaal pahuchyo aan. Now I've gotten old. That death is approaching me. Bhakt Farid ji saying, Kaga karang tandoleya. That death is coming closer to me. It's eating me away. It's eating into my life. Because each moment is reducing. Aud kate din se rehna re. Kende din ghatda janda kende meri umar da. Kende o jeri maut roop kaaliya. Maut roop jeri kaaya o menu meri jeevan nu kende khai jandi a. Kende as it's eating into my life, it's getting closer. But I still haven't seen Vaheguru ji. I want to see Vaheguru ji before I leave this body. So what they're saying, what are they actually eating? Kaga karang tandoleya. It's going into my life, eating into my life. Kaga karang tandoleya sagala khaya mas, and it's starting to eat my mas. What is that mas that the crow is eating at? That mas, that skin, it's even eating into my virtues. There's nothing left of me. I'm crying now. I beg you, Bhakt Farid ji saying, E doi naina, but that nan, the inner eyes of Gyan, the inner eyes of wisdom, of true wisdom, kende E doi naina, that inner eyes of Bairaag and that Gyan, don't touch my Bairaag, leave my Bairaag alone. This feeling I have now of this pain of wanting to be one with you, don't take this away from me. The eye of Bairaag that I've got inside of me, the eye that I've got of pain inside me, don't touch that. And the other nan of Gyan, that true wisdom, that is what gets to do darshan of Vaheguru ji. Unno no kita sher bethiyo Bhagat Fareed ji kehn lage. Pir dekhan ki aas. When our inside reaches that stage, only then, Guru Sikh Pyareo, the next avastha will come. Guru Ramdas ji Paatshah ji kehn lage, kehndे Sant jana bad bhagi paya. Only those that have great fortune, kehndे Sant jana bad bhagi paya, will actually get to be around those humble servants of God, those saints that are drenched in love for God. Only those that have got great fortune. Sant jana bad bhagi paya, har kathiye akat kahani. What happens when you're around these saints of God? Kehndे har kathiye, they speak, they explain, they go through har kathiye a what? Har kathiye akat kahani. They go through the stories of Vaheguru ji. And you know, when your loved one has gone away, what makes you feel better? When somebody's partner's away, somebody's child's gone to a school trip, what makes that mother feel better? When somebody comes over and starts to talk about her child, when they start to tell her, do you remember when your child did this? Your child's smile is like this, and the mother starts to open up. She's missing a child, but she just, for that moment, she can feel, she starts to visualize her child. The only time that pain's going to start to ease inside of us is when we're around those saints and they talk about God. Har kathiye, us bare kathan, when they start to talk about God. Har kathiye akat kahani. But what's so amazing in this pankti? What word, what have they used to describe God? They've called God akat. They said you can talk about God, you can describe God, but remember, God is akat. God is beyond description as well. At the same time, they said they come together with these saints can start telling you about God, they'll tell you the stories about God, but then they say, but God's story can't be told as well. That's what God's name is. Why have they said this? That God that is beyond description, indescribable. They said, but they come together and they describe God. There's two things. It looks as if there's two things. They're actually against each other, but no, Guru Sikh Pyareo. All that Guru Sahib Ji is doing is saying, yes, you can come and speak about Vaheguru Ji, but don't ever think that you can get to the limits of Vaheguru Ji with this speech. Because there's some people out there today, Guru Sikh Pyareo, aaj oh vi ne. There's groups out there today that call themselves Sikhs, and they've got signs up in the Gurdwara saying that Akat Katha happens here. That we do Akat Katha. But Guru Sikh Pyareo, what this means is that Vaheguru Ji is beyond description. You can't go to the limits of Vaheguru Ji. But Sache Paatshah Ji kehn lage, kehndे jise jagaye piyave eho ras akat katha tin jani. You can get to know his story, but if you say that I can describe his complete story, kehndे je ho jana आखा nahi कहना कथन ना जाई. कहंदे ओदी पूरी तुसी कथा कर नहीं सकदे. कहंदे जे हो जाना उन्हों जान सकदे हो तुसी. You can know him. जे हो जाना आखा nahi, but you can't say his limits. Akha nahi. That's why you can speak about God. You can tell the stories about God, but God will remain akat. We can never tell the limit of God. God's story cannot ever be spoke and told in completion. Paatshah Ji kehn lage, kehndे har kathiye akat kahani. They talk and they say the stories of that Vaheguru Ji that is beyond description, and that eases their pain, that makes them feel better. They kehndे hirde har dhun upji. And what are they experiencing constantly now in their life? Inside of their heart, hirde har dhun. There's this vibration of God's name inside of their heart. No longer, Guru Sikh Pyareo, they have to make an effort to recite God's name. There's this loving feeling for God inside constantly now. Their speech is God, karm in their actions is God. everything. Prab ek, that one Vaheguru Ji is in their mind, in their man bach karm now. Kande hirde har dhun upji, har japiye mastak bhag jiyo papach ji. Kande only those have been able to recite God's name on whose foreheads it was scribed on. Those that were fortunate enough to do so. Because they had did such karam, they had did something such an action that they had done, that actually ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਆ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਸ ਬੀਜ ਜਦੋਂ ਆ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਫਲ ਲੱਗੇ, ਉਹਦਾ ਫਲ ਕੀ ਆ? ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਵੇ। ਪਾਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਲੇ ਤੀਜੀ ਲਾਵੇ, ਹਰ ਉਪਜੇ ਮਨ ਬੈਰਾਗ ਜੀ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਲੇ, as Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ Guru Ramdas Ji Pacha Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji in the fourth form as Guru Ramdas Ji, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਲੇ ਤੀਜੀ ਲਾਵੇ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ what is this third state like? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਰ ਉਪਜੇ ਮਨ ਬੈਰਾਗ ਜੀਓ, your mind, it's filled, something is born inside. Upje means when something from a low place comes to a higher place, it's full of this bairag. This bairag meaning, like I said, two things. Rag, there's no love left for falsehood now. There's just sachi preet hum tumse jodi, tumse jod avar sang todi. So Gursikh pyareo, itni ek beintiyan parwan karniyan।